This episode of the Sloopcast is brought to you by the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company is an Ohio-based company where they usually say our seasonings will take your barbecue from good to great. Great seasonings such as the smoked, savory, two border, and the Discord. Can't go wrong with any of the great seasonings that the Mad Canadian has over at themadcanadianbbq.com. That is themadcanadianbbq.com. Be sure to check out all the great seasonings he has to offer there. Make sure you use the promo code SLOOPCAST10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where they have your butt covered.
This episode of the Sloopcast is also brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. The Iron Bean Coffee Company is a premium, small batch, roast to order. That's the important. Well, I mean, it's all important. Roast to order, veteran owned coffee company out of Toledo, Ohio. I have right here, Kyle, and sometimes people might jump on the website and they might get a little bit of a sticker shock, because even for like premium coffee, you might pay $10 a bag. But know that this, can I put my hand here for scale for the YouTube people? That's the size of the bag you're getting. It's good. And by the way, it's really good.
Your face.
Is it the size of my face?
Close enough.
That's close enough. So right here, I have the Ride or Die. And the Ride or Die is a gentle and distinctive version of a classic American breakfast cup, a Brazilian yellow bourbon coffee, superb smoothness and flavor. And I have the Unicorn. Now, what's in the Unicorn? I have no idea. The Unicorn is kind of a mixed bag. I didn't really mean to go pun there. But it's essentially a R&D coffee. It's a research and development coffee. It could be anything. Is it flavored? Is it not flavored? I have no idea, and I haven't opened it yet, so I still have no idea. If you're not sure which coffee might be right for you, you can buy a sampler pack. So that's another thing you can do. If you sign up for their emails, you get a 10% off discount code. And you can also save money if you do find that one coffee that's right for you. You can get a discount by signing up for a subscription service where they just send you the coffee. I believe I haven't signed up for a subscription service yet, so I'm not sure. But you essentially, I believe it is monthly. Amazon does a similar thing. But you can find that. You can find a lot more. You can find some flavored coffees if that's more your speed. They have a carrot cake, a blueberry, and a mint chocolate chip. You can find all of that at ironbeancoffee.com. That's Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster.
What's up, YouTube?
What's up, YouTube?
How'd you like the game? Or as most people it sound like, how did you not like the game?
Man, we'll get into that. Seriously though, comments. What did you think of the game? I think Kyle and I'm going to take a pretty positive spin on it. I know that's where I'm going with it.
It is Happy Valley.
Yeah. But if you disagree, let us know. If you agree, let us know. But we're going to take a positive spin on this game. That's for sure. And also make sure to subscribe.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Like the video. Share the video. Do all that stuff. Do all that YouTube stuff that we always forget to talk about because we're primarily a podcast that just happens to upload to YouTube. But this is our opportunity to talk to you, YouTube. All right, let's rejoin our audio listeners. We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing pretty well. How are you, Jared?
I'm doing pretty good.
Buckeyes are 2-0. It's a good day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Ohio State, 2-0. Michigan, lost. Penn State, lost. What else do you guys... Okay, Clemson losing would have been great. we'll talk a little bit about that later in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But we unfortunately can't spend as much time on it as I'd like. But yeah, I like it. I had a really good Saturday. Again, Clemson could have lost.
Mm-hmm.
Sprinkles. But the ice cream was real damn good.
And my Fighting Bulldogs won too.
Yes, Columbus Grove Bulldogs. How you guys doing?
Beats Archbold. They are moving on to the regional finals. Division 6.
Regional
the
finals.
Final 8. That's final
okay,
8.
Final 8. Thank you. I got the playoff for high school football is
it's weird this year.
It's real weird. So
it's like everybody is able to join in the playoffs, which is like
weird.
But
yeah,
Final 8. Final 8.
I feel bad for the teams that lost early because they didn't get much of a season because they only had a few games.
It's like 6-8 games, something like that. It's not many.
I didn't even think it was that much, but we're not a high school football podcast, and we have a lot to talk about today.
Yes. Buckeyes defeat Penn State 38-25 in Happy Valley.
That's the thing we do for the bounce back. You totally stole my thunder.
But before we get into the bounce back here, though, Jared.
Yeah.
Just a couple of updates here. Cam Brown and Blake Hubble.
There you go.
Both left the game with injuries. Well, with Blake, we come to find out as he was being replaced that he was dealing with some groin injuries during pregame warmups, and then when he missed that field goal, they yanked him and put in walk-on Dominic Damasio.
I'm gonna go Damasio.
Yes, Damasio. I'll put on.
Could be Damacchio. I'm gonna go Damas. He wasn't in the pronunciation guide, Kyle.
Nope. Sorry. And he did okay for a walk-on. For a walk-on, he missed a chip shot he should have, just like what Blake did. But
yeah,
we'll get more into that here in a little bit. And Cam Brown left on a cart.
We don't know.
Signed.
We don't know.
We don't know, but there's.
It looked like. We don't know. I don't want to spread any false information. So what we're now about to say is purely speculative.
Yes.
What we don't know what happened to Cam Brown. Speculatively, it looked a little bit like an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
So I want to make real sure that we're not like just saying it was an Achilles injury because we don't know that. But that's kind of what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kyle. Is that all the?
That's
all the news. I think the only other news we might have is that the Wisconsin COVID outbreak is bigger than expected or than we initially realized. So we're not sure what that means for Wisconsin or the upcoming Wisconsin game. I imagine that the upcoming Wisconsin game is not going to happen. That would be my assumption. But again, that's an assumption, and that's not a thing that we know yet. So, with all of that, okay, because we spent too much time talking about COVID on the show. So, Kyle, now it is time to get into the bounce back. Brief YouTube break. What's up, YouTube? Now's your time to crack any knuckles, get any sneezes. Oh, that was beautiful. If anyone in YouTube land does not like that, get over it. All right. Rejoining the audio listeners. Ohio State defeats Penn State 38-25.
And it could have been a lot worse.
Could have been a lot worse, according to a lot.
Should have, could have, would have.
Yeah.
It did it.
And I think Ohio State fans, Buckeye Nation, I don't know how many of you specifically I'm talking to right now, because I feel like Kyle and I really tried to set your expectations at a certain level on the Friday episode. And honestly, I did. I don't want to speak for Kyle. Maybe a little bit foolish, because we were like, hey, this is going to be a game in the third quarter. That was our broad prediction. That was my broad prediction for the game. that it was going to be a game in the third quarter and Ohio State would pull away in the fourth quarter. Well, then Ohio State goes up 14-0 and looked easy doing it. And it felt a little bit silly. Like, okay, we're heading towards a blowout. But Penn State is still a really good football team. I know they're 0-2. We talked in detail about how they were actually better than Indiana in many ways in week 1. Statistically speaking, if you go down through the stats, and of course you have to be careful with the ball. You can't turn over the ball in key situations, which is exactly what Penn State did against Indiana. Again, we talked about that in detail on Friday's episode. But Penn State is a good football team. I understand that Ohio State drilled them from the onset, and that you would have liked to have seen that continue moving forward. But that's a high expectation to continue that 14-0 pace that Ohio State had going against a team as good as Penn State. Some of you are irrationally salty about this football game. Ohio State controlled a game in Happy Valley against a very good Penn State team.
And if you remember, when you listened to the last episode, when we talked about Penn State's defense and what they were able to hold Indiana to, it was going to be tough trying to move the ball really well against Penn State here. What was it? They did something ridiculous here. I'm trying to pull up the stats real quick here. They held Indiana to 41 total yards. And then Ohio State comes in here and puts up over 500 yards against this really stingy Penn State defense, which we knew Ohio State's offense is just and I've seen this used a couple of times on Twitter. Ohio State's offense is like a Ferrari. It is a thing of beauty being able to just move up and down the field. But Penn State showed that there's definitely some things that Ohio State needs to work on. It's definitely a good test these past 2 games with Ohio State going up against 2 stingy type of defenses. Now that Ohio State got these 2 games out of the way, it's a little bit easier path for the next few weeks here. And we'll see how Ohio State can continue to improve as the season goes along. And normally these 2 games, the first 2 games, it's usually typically cupcake games. Ohio State able to figure out, hey, what's working, what's not working, and all that. Their first cupcake games, Nebraska and Penn State here.
Yeah, not cupcakes.
Not cupcakes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's also important to keep in mind. I think you kind of want that game where Ohio State rolls a MAC team 72-0 just to see, hey, this is what we can do. But we haven't had the opportunity to see Ohio State do that yet. Rutgers is not the Rutgers we're used to seeing. That's not to say that Rutgers is good or great or anything like that, but they aren't a complete cupcake, and we'll talk about that on the Monday episode. I think, Kyle, do you have that Ramsey tweet? I think I sent out a tweet essentially saying some of you are irrationally salty right now. That was my tweet because that's I'm an idiot and that's how I speak. Ramsey, on the other hand, was saying the same thing I said, but he's Ramsey over at 11 Warriors, and he said it way better than I did.
Yeah, he said here, Ohio State has won 10 straight road games against AP-ranked teams. We're not going to talk about AP-ranked teams, but either way, it's an all-time NCAA record, tying with, I believe, Notre Dame back in like the 50s. Or as Ohio State fans call it, why can't they score on every drive? What is this bullshit? It's like they want to make games close just to keep things interesting because Bill Gates co.
Yeah, and like nails it. This is a really good Penn State team that even despite losing to Indiana, was still ranked and was still ranked well. And we don't talk about rankings on this show because rankings are stupid. And by the way, this is pretty much in line with Kyle and I's final score prediction.
Mm-hmm.
What was it not? I think I had 42-17. No, I had 35-17. I think. But I don't remember what my prediction was. But it was something in that area. This is very much in line with what Kyle and I predicted. And then, since we're reading tweets, Tom Moore, obviously over at the Buckeye Scoop, who we are very much affiliated with. Hello, Buckeye Scoop. He tweets out, he says, I just looked. Ross Fulton, all these people are Scoop people, by the way, had this game at 36-23. Tony Gerdeman had it at 35-20. Mark Givler had it at 34-21. Gleitman and Green both had it at 34-24. Nevada had it at 35-21. Tom says he had it at 35-24. The point is that this was the expectation. Mm-hmm. And I think we just maybe got spoiled a little bit by the fact that Ohio State came out so hot.
Yeah.
This game happened not exactly like we were expecting because Ohio State came out so hot. But if you look at the final score and the final stats, this is a game you would have and could have predicted.
Mm-hmm.
Some of y'all are spoiled.
By the way, I had my whatever stats I had before regarding to the Penn State Indiana. That was totally wrong. They didn't even have passing yards in there. So they held Indiana 200 yards.
Okay.
Either way, sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, no, it's in a way, this reminds me a lot like last year's Penn State, where Ohio State rolling along and all of a sudden had like turnovers, had that fumble right at the goal line. And then like immediately, I don't know if it's immediately, but pretty darn close. Like the next couple of drives, it was an interception and another fumble, and Penn State was right back in it. It almost felt kind of like that this year, except Ohio State didn't turn the ball over, though. It was just odd. I'm not going to say play calling, but odd plays that happened like at the end of the first half, where for some odd reason they gave Penn State an extra second to be able to kick a field goal,
which cost me a sloop pick.
I will say that saved me a sloop pick.
What? You had Ohio State?
No, I didn't. I had Penn State here.
Okay, well you had, I thought you had Ohio State in the. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to argue with you. We don't have time.
You still beat me this week.
Yeah, but Sean Brawley beat both of us, which means we're out t-shirt money.
Yes. But yeah, it's you look at the numbers here, and like the difference between the first half and second half is just tells the tale of how well Penn State made halftime adjustments. So, I mean, hats off to them. You look at the first half stats, Ohio State very balanced, almost 150 passing, 130 on the ground, almost 300 yards for the first half, and held Penn State to 75 yards, 0 for 5 in third downs. And just, they couldn't do anything at all. Move forward to the end of the game here, and Penn State has over 300 yards, and Ohio State had over 500 yards. And Penn State tacked on, 19 points for the game. Or for the half.
Yeah. I don't know. As Kyle said, they made some really good halftime adjustments. They remembered that they had wide receivers. I think is a really important adjustment that Penn State had. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say this with a certainty because I don't know that it's true. Did they have any receptions, the wide receivers as a whole, in the first half? Because we don't have player stats for the first half. We have larger stats for the first half. But I don't think that they had, because they basically, their entire first half offense was run the ball with Devin Ford and Sean Clifford, mostly Sean Clifford, and throw it to Freiermuth. That was it.
I don't even know if Freiermuth had a reception the second half.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
They held him to 3 receptions all game.
Excellent work keeping Freiermuth under control. Dotson had a really good game.
Dotson, I mean, he made some just great catches. You just have to just sit there and appreciate some of those catches that he had.
There was that drive that was basically just 2 long passes to Dotson, and people were absolutely ripping Wade over. Guys, watch those plays. Wade's in perfect position. Sometimes, and this goes back to you guys being really kind of spoiled, sometimes the other team is good. And sometimes a guy like Dotson makes plays. Did you see those catches? The first one he catches with one hand, with his off hand, left-handed. The second one, he climbs a ladder, and it looked like that one catch that that Hill had last year, maybe 2 years ago, where he just sort of plucked it out of the air with one hand.
Yeah.
Sometimes the other guys make great plays. That drive was Dotson making great plays. Even NFL corners give up passes.
And I know we've always said that defense wins championships, and I still believe that to be true.
I don't.
But
not at the college level.
But when you there's just some plays that no matter how well you have coverage, how well you're defending the plays, the offensive players can just make those kind of plays though. I mean, look at Ohio State and Alabama game and how many great plays Ohio State had in that game. I mean, everybody will remember the pass to Michael Thomas and him making the great catch there. It just happens. And sometimes you'd be like, well, shit, that was just a great play.
Look at every Olave touchdown. Like Penn State had good coverage on Olave on both of those touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Fields and Olave were just too good to stop on those plays. Yeah. And because it's Ohio State making that play, we just sort of stand up and go, yay, Fields and Olave are so great, which they are. I guess, I don't know. I feel like we're just sort of complaining now. We're reverse complaining. And I'd like to stop doing that now.
All right. Let's talk about the positives here. Justin Fields, insane. 28 for 34, 82% completion for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns for the game.
On the season, and this coming from Laurie Schmidt, 48 for 55. You want to do the math on that one real quick, Kyle? It's only 7 incompletions. Mm-hmm. For almost just shy of 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, and oh, by the way, no interceptions. He has 1 more incompletion than he has touchdowns. Crazy. He's almost as likely to throw a touchdown as an incompletion.
And what I think is really great too, and you can look at that last sack, though, as a really hard hit to Fields, though.
Yeah.
But only 2 sacks for the game. Only 2 sacks. And I don't know if there was a play where they had a design run for Fields.
On the goal line, was it maybe the last touchdown?
It was like the 3-4 yard QB sneak.
No, I'm not counting the sneak. Okay. There was a designed... So, the play that they ended up scoring on was sort of that Tebow-esque fake where he sort of faked like he was going to run, and then he tossed it over the top to that one was Ruckert, right? Ruckert with 2 touchdowns, by the way. But the play right before that was like a designed JT Barrett-esque running play. Other than those, but that was the only actual rush by Justin Fields.
If you take out the 2 sacks there, Fields did 4 carries for 12 yards.
Well,
the stat shows here he has 6 for -4. But
okay. Yeah. So there was.
I was able to see here he had 16 yards lost for sacks.
And then
so
the and then the kneel down counts as a rush.
Oh, yeah.
So there was the sneak play, the designed run at the goal line, 2 sacks, which count as rushes, the kneel down, and then we're missing a 6th one?
Somewhere.
Did he run out of bounds at some point? I don't know. It's fine.
Either way.
We're not gonna.
Either way, they didn't really rely on Justin Fields in this game to run the ball, and it was a heavy dose of Master Teague and Trey Sermon, where they combined for 36 carries for $166, which averaged to about 4.5 per yard, or 4.5 yards per carry.
Yeah. And yet people were still. I don't know if I want to keep complaining about people complaining, but even then, people are like, "Well, I guess the running backs were all right." 36 carries, over 4.5 per carry. 166, well, about 4.5 per carry, 166 yards. Teague alone, 23 carries, 110 yards, 4.5 per carry. That's Teague alone. Teague looked great, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive line, holy crap!
Much better than against Nebraska,
against better talent, by the way. OA and Tony are incredible players. Where were they all night? Hats off to Petit Ferry and Thayer Munford. Hats off. Amazing. And then in the running game, push all night, got holes all night. As Kyle alluded to earlier, Ohio State, how good was Ohio State feeling about their offensive line? They ran a sneak when they needed 3 yards to get a first down. This is how good Ohio State felt about their offensive line.
Yeah, and we didn't really talk about him, though, but one player on that Penn State defensive line who really made his presence known was Antonio Shelton, the big old, I think he's nose tackle, but the big old...
He's a defensive tackle. I'm not sure if he's the 1 or the 2 tech.
Yeah, but he made his presence known and gave White Davis some plays to work on, some plays that he needs to work on.
But again, kind of like with Wade, we have such high expectations for Davis and Wade that anytime we see them mess up, it's like, oh my God. And then that's fine. They deserve those high expectations and we should hold them to it. That's fine. I don't know.
But
I was really happy.
It's against what you said before, against much better talent in hostile environment, but on the road in the Happy Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have the crowd really. Can
we talk about crowd noise?
The live crowd noise.
Can we talk about crowd noise? Whoever was running the crowd noise in Happy Valley, go to hell. I don't know how many times a play would end. And then I'd go to check our Discord because Twitter was toxic and I was living in the Discord most of the night because whatever, Twitter's Twitter. I'm getting sick of it. I'm really happy that our Discord is coming alive because I can just hang out in there instead. But I'd play would happen. I'd go to see what people were saying in the Discord. I'd go to say something in our Discord and then the crowd noise would amp up and my eyes would go back to the television. And because I would instinctively think that maybe there was a flag or maybe there was some extracurricular activity, a fight or something. But no, it's just because the dude on the crowd noise was late. Stop it with the crowd noise going up and down. Let's just get a single hum of crowd noise, please.
It was just a delay. It was just planned.
Ah! It was terrible. Can we just get one consistent crowd noise, please?
And whatever came to Big Ten agreement of, hey, here is a list of songs or things that you can play on the PA as a group for the Big Ten.
I think the crowd noise was approved crowd noise.
Okay.
I think is all that
because the annoying lion cat growling was still annoying as hell.
That doesn't fall under new rules. That falls under old rules. And I assume as long as they stick to the decibel limit, then it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah. Either way,
Kyle, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave.
Back-to-back 100-yard games for both of them.
Yeah, it seems like Garrett Wilson is our possession guy and Chris Olave is our big play guy. That would seem to be the way this is playing out.
Definitely.
Olave with 2 touchdowns again. That's 2 straight games with 2 touchdowns for Chris Olave, who we had high expectations for coming into the season, and he's smashing them. Same for Garrett Wilson. I would say that, again, high expectations, smashing them. 11 receptions for Garrett Wilson this game. When was the last time that Ohio State had a true... Because ever since the Urban Meyer era, we got used to having like this really deep wide receiver rotation.
Mm-hmm.
But Ohio State definitely has a 1-2 at wide receiver right now.
Yes, absolutely.
When was the last time Ohio State had like, well, these are our 2 wide receivers? You'd have to go back. I'm not going to try to do that right now. Comment section, wherever your comment section might be, or maybe just reach out to us on Twitter. When was the last time Ohio State had a true 1-2 at wide receiver? I'm going to think, does it have to go back to Michael Jenkins?
No, it would have been earlier than that. I mean, you can think of 7-Eleven.
Maybe
as well.
Okay, I don't want to waste a bunch of time.
Either 7-Eleven or 7 and 10.
I feel like they were running kind of 3 deep at that time. Ohio State has a true 1-2 at wide receiver right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really weird.
These two,
but I love it.
These two right here remind me a lot of either Gannon Holmes or Gannon. Wow, I am drawing a blank.
Not sure where you're going with that. We're moving forward. Kyle, year of the tight end? Is it the year of the tight end?
Two reception touchdowns for Ruckert here. There was a total of 6 receptions for the tight ends in this game.
Yeah, 6 receptions. Do we know what happened to Luke Farrell? Do we have injury updates on him yet? I'll tell you right now, we don't. Ryan Day, very secretive when it comes to injuries. Luke Farrell was hurt last night, Saturday night. We'll see how that plays out. But it did allow Jake Hausman to get into the game and get a reception. Jameson Williams, still sort of waiting for Jameson Williams to pop off. And I think that's still coming as teams start to think, man, we're going to have to double Chris Olave. That's going to start opening things up for Jameson Williams to start making some deep plays. The freshman wide receivers didn't make much of an impact last night. Jackson Smith and Njimba had a single reception. Kyle, can we talk about the defense now?
Yes, defense. The defensive line is really showing up right now. They're really making their presence known with Haskell and company, just really making their presence known. And this was one area that we weren't too sure of. Like, all right, we lost a lot of great players on the defensive ends. Who's really going to be stepping up here? And they're probably the heart and soul of this defense right now through 2 games.
No offense, Kyle. And I know that Haskell Garrett is definitely our feel-good story for the year so far and had a great game last week. But Tommy Togiai.
Yes.
Tommy Togiai. I don't know why I always want to throw a Z in there. Tommy Togiai. Yo! Was that 3 sacks last night? 7 tackles, 3 sacks from the nose tackle position? We've seen Draymond Jones, for example, from the 3 tech become great pass rushers at Ohio State. From the nose tackle position, you're getting 3 sacks. Tommy Togiai. What's up, big man? That's a coming out party for Tommy Togiai. I'm just showing off that I know how to say his name now. So the defensive line last night, like the offensive line last night, we challenged both of them. They both had subpar performances against Nebraska. We already talked about how the offensive line had a great game with the quarterback sneak and all of that. The defensive line, who we called out on this show last Monday, I straight up looked right into the camera and said, Jonathon Cooper, you got that block O, earn it on the field now. Because he did not have any sort of spectacular game against Nebraska. He came back. He looked dominant. He looked disruptive.
The stats probably don't show it. No. He had 3 tackles, half a sack, but you're right. Like Togiai, definitely the stat machine there. 6 tackles and 3 sacks.
6 tackles, 3 sacks. But here's the thing. I know at least one of Togiai's sacks was as a result of Jonathon Cooper crashing the pocket, forcing Clifford to step up and into those defensive tackles.
It was almost a Bosa type of sack where he pushed the lineman right into him, and the quarterback ended up escaping, and there was Togiai to clean it up.
Yes. So not to take anything away from Togiai, he had an amazing game, but a lot of his production was a result of the defensive ends. Zach Harrison had a great game, as did Tyler Friday, crashing the pocket and forcing Clifford to step up into those defensive tackles. Zach Harrison, by the way, you want to talk about pushing running backs around? Why is it always Penn State? You had Bosa with the walk-off sack where he just pushed the running back into the quarterback. You had, why do I always forget his name, Kyle? Aaron Hubbard. I don't know why I always forget Aaron Hubbard's name.
Sam, not Aaron.
Oh my God.
You might want to drink some more of your coffee there. Drink some more of your coffee. I'll finish it up here. Hubbard just a couple years ago too, tackling both the running back and the quarterback
against Penn State.
And here we are, 2020.
Zach Harrison again on the read option tackles, both of them, and Cooper had a almost a Bosa sack where he pushed the blocker back into almost.
Yeah. You want to guess who had the most tackles for the game?
I'm gonna guess it's a linebacker, and I'm gonna guess it's either gonna be Pete Warner or it's going to be Borland.
Borland had 4 tackles. This player here had 7 tackles for the game, and this will give it away, but he's the one.
Hooker.
He's the one who had the only turnover. Nope. Yeah, he's the only one they had the only turnover for the game.
Yeah. Hooker looked a little bit like his brother last night. Struggled early against Nebraska. Started to figure it out. First game starting against Nebraska. Again, we didn't get some cupcake warm-ups this year. COVID, blah, blah, blah. Didn't get cupcakes this year to warm up. His first game out is against Nebraska. He didn't have a good start to that game. Comes back. Has a great finish to the Nebraska game. This game, he's comfortable. He's looking good.
Yes.
Proctor as well.
It's improving. It's a work in progress, but it's improving.
Proctor as well. Didn't have a great start against Nebraska. Ended up looking really good this game.
Mm-hmm. Sevyn Banks, though, that one drive, they just picked on him. That first drive of the second half.
I don't want to rip on Banks.
I don't either, because that second half, they just found that connection with Dotson that entire second half.
I'm going to rewatch the game, and I'm going to confirm if what I'm about to say is true or not. We're recording this kind of earlier than normal. I haven't had a chance to really sort of pick over the game. What I suspect happened was Penn State does a lot of the wide receivers go deep and the tight ends work underneath. That's a lot of what they do. They came out into the second half and the wide receivers were running stuff underneath. So you saw Seven Banks and all the corners playing way off. And then they came out with a halftime adjustment where the wide receivers started running short routes. Ohio State wasn't ready for it on that drive. Penn State goes down, gets a touchdown. Then the second drive, Ohio State adjusted, and they weren't picking on Banks or Brown anymore. Dotson, again, had a really good game against Shaun Wade. And not all of those catches, by the way, were against Shaun Wade. And again, those two, I'm not putting that on Shaun Wade. That's just Dotson making some amazing plays. Dotson's third touchdown, Wade did not look great. And I'd really like to look over that play and figure out why. Wade looked very content to allow Dotson to run inside. Like one thing we got in the Discord, someone said that it looked like he was just going through the motions on that play, that he just sort of was there.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks bad. If you watch the replay through the TV, it looks bad. The thing, and by the way, it might just be bad. I'm not completely defending him. I'd love to see an all 22 on it. I'd love to see exactly what happened. It looked like he just let him run inside, which maybe he was. Was Wade potentially in a deep quarter? Was Wade potentially in a deep third? Was he expecting help on the inside and therefore was staying outside? Without knowing the defensive play call, without being able to see it from like an all 22 angle, I understand that it looks bad. And by the way, it's still, if it was man-to-man, if that was a man-to-man play, that's a terrible play by Shaun Wade. But I don't know that it was a man-to-man play. So I'm simply reserving judgment on that play right now,
mm-hmm.
because I don't know. It's easy to maybe rush to judgment on it, but right now I just don't know. And I'd love an opportunity to look at that play with a bit more of a film study perspective than I just don't want to rip Shaun Wade for that at this point. Now, like I said, if that was a man-to-man call and if that was his guy and they weren't in a zone, that's a terrible play. That's an absolute terrible play.
Absolutely.
But I don't know that was the call. So I'm just going to cover it slowly. That's all. We don't need to rush to judgment.
Yep. All right. Think that's about it for this game here. I mean, and to kind of wrap it up, Ohio State took care of business. Obviously, there's things to work on, but as we mentioned already, it's only the second game of the season here against a really talented team here. Ohio State has some very winnable games upcoming here.
Yeah. Lots of time
Rutgers,
to
Maryland,
work on the
Indiana,
little things.
Illinois, then Michigan State.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem from here on out is staying motivated, staying focused. It's a pretty easy slate coming up.
Probably even a more thing, something to even be more cautious about, staying healthy.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah. I mean, look at Clemson, look at Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
And by the way, one of those games Ohio State's not going to play. I'm just throwing that out there right now. One of those games will get canceled. I don't know which one. It's just that's the way things are going right now. Mm-hmm. Ohio State won't play all those games. Ohio State has a bye week coming at some point during this slate. We just don't know where.
Yeah.
That's a thing that's going to happen. By the way, Justin Hilliard didn't get to play in this game, tested positive for COVID on a rapid test, tested again, tested negative. So we should have news this week once he takes the legitimate test. The rapid, you give up accuracy for speed. That's what happens when you take the rapid test. You give up accuracy for speed. I don't know why you don't just do a third rapid test and then just go with the majority. But the Big Ten is mishandling a lot of things this year.
I don't know. It's weird that he can't play, but yet he's there with the players on the sideline. Doesn't make sense. But
well, because you can wear a mask on the sideline, which I presume I don't know.
Either way. All right,
Either
let's hear from our sponsors, Jared.
Oh boy, we're way over on a
Yep,
sponsor.
the Mad Canadian here, proud sponsor of the Sloopcast for the past year, and I'm just really happy to still partner with the Mad Canadian. And let's talk about a few spices that he has to offer here. We have the Discord. Discord is used in a few different ways here, but he says here it's similar to the Four Horsemen, which I'll mention here in a moment, but it has a sweeter base. It's a great topping for chicken and ribs. It's a great blend that's fantastic and
Spicy,
yes, as well as the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen, very spicy. He says it's a barbecue seasoning with 4 different types of hot peppers blended into it. It's not the world's hottest, but it's definitely gets your taste buds going, though. And the third one here, the Savory. Savory is he says this is an exact seasoning we put on our pulled pork here at the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. But it's a salty, savory mix that is sure to be a favorite during your next barbecue. Be sure to check out all the other great seasonings at themadcanadianbbq.com. That is themadcanadianbbq.com. Promo code SloopCast10 at checkout for 10% off. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where they have your butt covered.
This episode of the Sloopcast also brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. Kyle, the Iron Bean Coffee Company, again, you're going to jump on that website and you're going to be like, oh, those prices. Worth it. It's like $17 a bag. You can get that down to like $15 a bag on a subscription service. Boom, you're saving money. You get free shipping over $50. Boom, you're saving money. And look at the size of these bags. I know our YouTube, I can't cover this entire bag with my hand. I don't have the biggest hands in the world, but I can't cover that entire bag with my hand. That's a big bag of coffee. That's legitimately a pound of coffee. A lot of places forget it. You're supporting an Ohio company. You're supporting a veteran-owned company. These beans are roasted after, not before, not way before, after you order it. You can get it whole bean. You can get it in a freshly ground. Again, it's freshly ground because it hasn't even been roasted yet by the time you order it. It's made in small batches, roast to order, fair trade, organic. Guys, a lot of coffee beans come from some bad situations. I'm not going to get totally into the morality of coffee and how that is sometimes bad. I'm not going to get all the way in it, but this isn't that. This is fair trade. Like I said, it's organic. Some of the flavors are available in K-Cups. Gift cards are available. We're coming up on Christmas season. You have Iron Bean gift cards available. And a huge selection, absolute enormous selection of coffees to choose from. Medium roast, light roast, dark roast, black roast. There are flavored coffees. Huge selection over at Iron Bean Coffee Company. The Iron Bean Coffee Company's I'm going to try that one again. The Iron Bean Coffee Company, America's local coffee roaster, ironbeancoffee.com. All right, Kyle. Let's do Ask Sloopcast before we get too far away from the Ohio State game. Then we'll buzz through some national perspective stuff.
All right.
Duncan from the Discord asks us, Buckeyes, by the way, these are 100% from our Discord server, discord.thesloopcast.com. If you want to join, there are both premium channels, which are available to our patrons at the starting at the $3 tier. And there are also free channels available in the Discord server. So we have made the Discord server public, but the premium channels are still just for our patron subscribers. So that's how that's working. Duncan from the Discord. Buckeyes tied the consecutive wins against ranked teams on the road record. How does that stat handle home team at a neutral site. It doesn't. Neutral site is a separate stat.
Yep.
There are home stats, away stats, neutral site stats. Technically speaking, Ryan Day is undefeated, both home and away, as the bowl game is a neutral site game.
Yes.
From Suncard 19, what play showed the most about who this team is?
I think a lot of them is probably the fourth down plays.
Yeah.
It just showed a lot of poise, just a lot of just execution on them. And what were they? Were they perfect on fourth downs here? Let me look here.
That should be in our stats.
It should be. Nope, they were 2 for 3.
Well, that's perfect because of the kneel down.
Yes.
The kneel down technically counts. So in legitimate
2 for 2.
attempts, 2 for 2.
Yeah.
By the way, bombed it on that 4th and short. You expecting a run play? This isn't Urban Meyer's. You expected a quarterback draw on that 4th and short? This isn't Urban Meyer's Ohio State anymore. No, we bomb it on 4th and short, y'all. That's how we roll now. God, I love Ryan Day's play calling.
Yes.
I'm not trashing Urban Meyer. Love what Urban Meyer did for this program. Love that Urban Meyer brought in Ryan Day. Love how he transformed the recruiting at Ohio State. Love that he brought in Mickey and Pantone. I'm not trashing Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is one of the best program builders ever. I don't think he was a great in-game coach. Ryan Day is a great in-game coach.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I think that 4th and short shows you a lot about who this team is, especially in comparison to to Urban Meyer's Ohio State team. And by the way, the 4th, no, that wasn't a 4th down. I think that one was a 3rd down, but the 3-yard sneak play.
It was like, you only needed 1 yard and he got like 3.5 yards.
No, they needed 3 yards.
Oh.
They needed 3 yards to get the first down and they ran a sneak play. That says to me, this team will be run behind this amazing offensive line. That is a statement play.
Yeah. All right, let's answer some of these. Just some more here. We got to move on a little bit here.
Speed round. Let's go.
Yep. Stewart says, Wade, slot or boundary?
Boundary. He's an NFL cornerback. I already talked about why we're being a little too hard on Shaun Wade. Mm-hmm. I already talked about it.
All right. Duncan says, can Minnesota have a disappointing enough year for PJ Fleck to lose his job?
No.
I know no. I'll just stop right there. No.
Minnesota's incredibly disappointing this year. They're bad this year. They're down a lot of players because of COVID, including special teams. Mm-hmm. That's tough to get over. We might find out real quick what it's like not to have a scholarship kicker. And they're also down their punter. Minnesota's having issues this year. 2020 is going to be a pass for a lot of teams. Yes. PJ Fleck among them. He's doing great things in Minnesota.
Duncan also says, if the full wideout is in effect, what's the score at halftime? I'd say you give 7 points. I'd say you give 7 points for home field for that.
I saw Kirk Barton, who owner, founder, runner of the Buckeye Scoop. I saw him once say that the whiteout in full effect is worth 7 or 10 points. That is per Kirk Barton, a man who played in the whiteout. Urban Meyer, who has played in all corners of this country, said that the whiteout is the worst environment to play in, period. And a lot of people are like, and I see this all the time, that they're like 500. They're like 8-8 or something like that in whiteout games. They don't use the whiteout when Rutgers comes to town.
No.
They only use the whiteout against the best opponents. The absolute...
Well, in the past couple of years, it's only been 2 teams.
It's essentially just Ohio State and I would say most of the time Michigan. But if Ohio State's on the schedule,
yep.
You want to talk about, well, why are they 50%? It's Ohio State's fault. This goes back to the thing of Ohio State will never have the toughest schedule in the Big Ten because they don't have to play Ohio State.
Yep. All right. Randy asks us, most encouraging thing you saw from the Buckeyes versus Penn State. Most concerning also. Encouraging thing, the running game. I think
the offensive line as a whole.
Yeah. The running game and offensive line have really improved since the Nebraska game. And we mentioned it already a number of times. It's only the second game. They're only going to get better here. It's concerning. Probably the defensive backs right now. I would say the defensive backs is a little concerning right now.
Yeah, they had complete success in the first half and then not so much in the second half. There's a lot of talent back there. They'll figure it out. I'm not actually all that concerned about it. Maybe the most concerning thing right now, Hobble. I'm always pronouncing his name wrong. Blake Hobble.
Special teams. Just special teams.
Yeah, special teams.
All right. Duncan asks us another question here. Who's in bigger trouble, Fleck or Harbaugh?
Harbaugh.
It's got to be Harbaugh right now. Harbaugh's been on that hot seat for a number of years right now.
Well, and he's also literally, he doesn't have to be fired. His contract's up at the end of the year.
Yes, that too. Yep.
Harbaugh doesn't have to be fired. They could simply just not re-sign him.
Yeah. All right. Stuart asks us.
By the way, also lost to another rival. I saw
1-6.
Yeah.
At home.
1-6 at home against their rivals, which I believe just is Ohio State and Michigan State is how they quantify that.
Yes. Stuart asks us,
at home.
At home, yeah. Is our D-line going to be dominant like this from here on? Based on the schedule that Ohio State has, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, the question is, will it continue into the playoffs? And
yes.
I like the chances. I think this we started this season concerned about the defensive tackles, and there still might be depth issues along the defensive tackles, but Garrett and Togiai are ready to roll.
Yep. Why did it seem as though our secondary struggled? We already kind of covered that. I think the Penn State just they really made some really good second half adjustments and really pinned their ears back and made some great plays.
Also, just give credit to Dotson. He's a very good player.
Yep. Why did it seem like we haven't given enough sacks? We weren't given enough sacks.
Yeah. What was it, 4 sacks? It felt like a lot more. That's a great question. It felt like Ohio State was up Clifford's butt the entire game, but ultimately
5 sacks. Ohio State had 5 sacks.
5 sacks. It felt like a lot more. I'd have to figure that out during a rewatch. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure.
What type of offense should we be on more high alert for?
Mobile quarterbacks, I think. Absolutely. Is mobile quarterbacks and either a mobile quarterback or B, a quarterback who is rhythmically based and can get rid of the ball in under 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Is Rutgers for real?
I think they're good. They're fine.
They're better than they were how many years?
By Rutgers standards, they're very good. Yes. By Big Ten East standards, they're fine. They're good.
They're fine.
They're fine.
Did Michigan State prove that Joe Milton isn't the second coming of Cam Newton? Did
that need to be proved? Isn't that kind of like proving that the earth is round?
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. I think that's actually an issue right now. Yeah, sure. I don't know who actually believed that to begin with. I don't either. Sure.
Well, the coaching staff did, but either way. Will we face another ranked team before game 9?
No.
Indiana's ranked. Indiana is currently ranked.
Still be. I don't like talking about ranks. Maybe. 2020 is weird.
After tonight, who is your 70% carry guy? Teague.
Yeah, Teague looked much better. And I'm not giving up on Sermon. We saw this a lot with when it was Weber and J.K. Dobbins. One day, one of them would have a great game. The next game, the other one would have a great game. We might see that this time around.
Which player needs to play better for us to be elite? Wade. I'd say Wade.
I think he's really the only guy who we expect a ton from who maybe.
Yeah.
I would say I want to see more from Zach Harrison, and he had a good game, but we really, really need that sort of Chase Young-esque guy, and Cooper's very good, but if we're talking about someone being like the next Bosa, the next Chase Young, it's got to be Zach Harrison.
Okay. How did Clifford make it through that game?
I don't know, man. Hats off to Clifford for just still standing.
Yeah, I mean, there was a thing going around Twitter. He says, I don't want to just hang around, I want to beat them. Well, he hung around.
Was that completely overblown?
It was.
Come on. What do you expect him to say?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we suck. Yeah. We don't have high expectations for this game. What do you want him to say?
Yeah. Is Penn State just a mediocre team, or are we that great?
It's somewhere in between that. The offense is very, 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 very good. Ohio State's offense is very, 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 very good. Penn State's defense is very, very, very good. So if you want to talk about it from Ohio State's offense versus Penn State's defense, Ohio State is that good.
Yes.
Defense, I'm not completely sold yet.
And it's not to be surprised with other teams too. We've seen other top program teams struggling defense too. So
yeah,
we're going to have to really keep a close eye in the coming weeks here.
And by the way, I'm not willing to say that Ohio State's defense is struggling. They're maybe not performing to the standard that we want them to perform at, but I'm not going to put struggle on them.
All right. Did you see Pete Warner bullying that offensive lineman?
All of y'all owe a lot of apologies to Tough Borland and Pete Warner.
Yeah, they played their butts off.
Austin. You know what? I love you, Austin. Here's the thing. A lot of you are still like real salty towards Pete Warner, and you guys are wrong. Tough Borland, we can have a conversation. Maybe he's a situational player. Maybe he's not to the speed that we can have a conversation about Tough Borland. I'm a Tough Borland fan. A lot of you aren't. We can have a conversation. If you're still hating on Pete Warner, you're wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Is it truly the year of the tight end?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. Year of the tight end. Officially now.
All right. And which position group took the biggest jump from week one?
I pick offensive line or defensive line.
Yes.
I'll say offensive line.
Yeah, I'm going to say offensive line too.
Yeah.
All right.
But Ohio State controlled the trenches last night.
All right,
beautiful.
Quickly here, Stuart. Will this guy make an appearance after last night?
And it's a picture of Roman McCullough, brother of Sean McCullough. And I believe that is a shot at Ohio State's current long snapper, who completely botched only one of two punts that our boy Drew Chrisman had an opportunity to punt last night. He only had one opportunity to pin Penn State deep.
And it bounced off his knee.
And the long snapper, whose name I forget, who isn't the McCullough, completely botched it.
Yeah, don't rag on him. It was one play.
It was one play. I'm not ragging on him. The fact of the matter is
people are.
Okay.
So, and Stuart is here.
Say Stuart's name. Say Stuart's name.
Stuart.
We love you too, Stuart.
Last question from Chad. Are we seeing Teague?
Whoa. Cooper.
I don't know why I said Chad. Sorry. Cooper. Are we seeing Teague start to break away as the main back? Yes.
I think that this game is an indicator of that, but I also see what I just said about Weber and Dobbins and how it might be completely different next game. So we don't have a large enough sample size to say for sure yet, but this one game is an indicator of that.
Yep.
I think Sermon, Kyle, yes or no? Does it look like Sermon's trying to go house every game or every run, like maybe just get the yards? I'm not going to say that for sure yet. I want to figure that out during the rewatch, but the impression I got last night was that it looks like he's trying to take every carry to the house.
It's hard. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
Really hard to tell.
Which is a thing that J.K. Dobbins admitted that he did his sophomore year that hurt him. So I don't know. I'm not willing to say that he's absolutely doing that yet, but just a thought I had.
All right. Quickly here, going through the national games here, just quick one or two sentences. Maryland upsetting Minnesota 45-44 in overtime.
I think we kind of talked about PJ Fleck already. Maryland better than we expected. Minnesota worse than we expected. We'll keep an eye on things.
To his brother there.
Looking good.
Yeah.
Had a bad week one.
We'll find out here in 2 weeks.
Again, college football is about having an efficient playmaking quarterback, period.
Mm-hmm.
Defenses don't win championships. Not in college football. Quarterbacks do.
Yep. Clemson coming from behind, I think it was like 17 points.
I think it was 20, maybe.
Boston College 34-28.
Yeah.
Boston College had a chance right at the end there to win it too.
Lessons learned here. Boston College program on the rise. Keep an eye on Boston College. Mm-hmm. Jeff Hafley's the man.
Yeah. And you talk about elite teams struggling defensively.
Yeah.
Clemson did the first half. They made adjustments in the second half and really pinned down Boston College.
Yeah. Well, here's the question. And again, big storyline here. Lawrence does not play. Trevor Lawrence doesn't play. So on one hand, is Clemson just Trevor Lawrence? We saw Clemson sort of take that next step and no longer be a team that is Clemsoning, not just under Trevor Lawrence. That's not fair to say. But it's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. We also won't have Trevor Lawrence against Notre Dame. Also, Trevor Lawrence doesn't play defense, so you don't get that full excuse, Clemson.
Yep.
Because your defense looks shoddy against Boston College.
Yes. All right. West Virginia upsetting Kansas State, if you want to call that an upset, but 37-10.
Technically, Kansas State, I think was undefeated in conference play. I believe. So yeah, absolutely an upset. The Big 12 sucks. What do you want me to say?
Yes. Speaking of Big 12, Iowa State still my contender to win the Big 12, 52-22 over Kansas.
I still like that, even though they lost to Oklahoma State. I think you're onto something there.
Boilermakers beating Illinois 31-24. I didn't watch this game, so
not at all. Not at all. I don't even know why I included it. Maybe just because it's a Big Ten
Sparty
game.
Beats little brother Michigan 27-24.
It's always a good day. It's always a good day when Michigan loses. Remember, when you ride alone, you ride with Harbaugh.
Probably one of the big stories here, Georgia, only 14 points to Kentucky. They win 14-3.
I believe that was the halftime score, and I didn't think I didn't think much of it because this is what Georgia does. They kind of just let a team hang around for a while and then blow them out in the fourth quarter. That's just what Georgia's been doing all year to everyone except Alabama.
That is just crazy.
So I didn't think much of it, and then I went back and I saw the final score, which still was 14-3. I don't know. What you doing, Georgia?
It was 7-3 at halftime.
7-3 at halftime.
And 14-3. But they didn't score they scored on the first drive there. But then that was it.
The first drive of the third quarter?
Of the second half there, yeah.
Yeah.
Cincinnati blows out Memphis 49-10. Is Cincinnati for real?
Yes. We're going to be watching Cincinnati more closely. We're going to be watching BYU more closely. What about Coastal Carolina here? That's a little bit of a tougher play. It's one thing for an ACC team or an independent team like BYU to be getting in. It's another thing for they're Coastal Carolina, they're Sun Belt, yes? I'm almost certain that's the case. I think Kyle, we're going to get a look it up situation.
They are Sun Belt.
Yeah. It's a different thing for a Sun Belt team to get involved in a playoff conversation. That's not to say that Coastal Carolina isn't good. I'd love to see a group of 5 team get into the playoff just cause.
And it could with how the Big 12 is looking.
Maybe. Oklahoma State loses to Texas. We'll talk about that a little bit later. The Big 12, we'll see what happens. The Pac-12 is starting up this next weekend. I think this is a perfect year for Cincinnati or BYU to get in. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not high on it yet. I'm still keeping their percentage fairly low, but their percentage exists, and that's saying something.
Mm-hmm. Notre Dame beats Georgia Tech 31-13. It sets up a big matchup with Notre Dame versus Clemson next weekend.
Again, no Trevor Lawrence. I was giving Notre Dame.
And I think it's in Notre Dame too.
I don't know. This is interesting. This is very interesting because I had just sort of been laughing off, and I still don't think Notre Dame's all that great. They're definitely not a top 10. They're not a top 5 team. They're not a top 4 team.
Yep, in Notre Dame. Yep.
But with no Trevor Lawrence, that makes this game interesting.
Very. Yes.
Because I don't think it was interesting before. I think Clemson was going to destroy Notre Dame before. No Trevor Lawrence? We'll see.
Yeah. Indiana pulls away late to beat Rutgers 37-21.
Yeah, this game was more competitive than that final score indicates.
Yes. Northwestern beats Iowa 21-20.
Kyle, real quick. I know we're trying to... Indiana? Second place in the Big Ten East?
They are right now.
But they might finish there.
They could.
Okay.
They could.
Just had to point that out.
Mm-hmm.
Got to show some love for our Hoosiers.
Yes. DBU proposed
good call skipping Iowa.
Supposedly DBU loses to Auburn 48-11.
And just so we're clear, Auburn also sucks. I just Auburn has a good brand name. I get it. But just so we're very clear, Auburn also sucks.
LSU just this year. Ugh.
Has a coach ever won a national title one year and then been fired the next? Gene Chizik. Was it Gene Chizik at Auburn who got real close to that? Because this is what it's... I think that's who it was. Because it's starting to look a lot like... Auburn wins a title with Cam Newton. It becomes obvious 2 years later that it was all Cam Newton. And then, was it Gene... Kyle, are you looking that up for me? Gene Chizik, was that the Auburn coach that won the national title just because of Cam Newton? Well, we're now looking at that with Coach O. Yeah. It was all Joe Burrow and their passing game coordinator, Brady. And they're both gone, and LSU sucks again.
Yep. LSU rushed the ball 27 times for 32 yards.
Whew. That has to just be straight up offense. Now, I will say this. Auburn, despite sucking, because they suck. I'm not suggesting otherwise. They do have a good front four, at least. But still.
And LSU can't figure out what quarterback they're going to use because they used 2 quarterbacks and they both looked bad.
Well, it's LSU.
Yes. All right. The upset of the weekend. Texas beats Oklahoma State in overtime, 41-34. Is Texas back?
I would say Michigan State defeating Michigan was the upset of the weekend. Just as a point, we don't have to fight about it. I just want to point that out.
All right.
No, Texas is not back. Texas is back because this is just who they are. They play well when they're not supposed to. They play poorly when they are supposed to play well. Mm-hmm. This is Texas back? Yeah, because that's who Texas is.
Yeah.
They're a top 25 team, but not a top 15 team that plays well every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
They're Virginia Tech. Congratulations, Texas. You're Virginia Tech.
Let's see here. Alabama shuts out Mississippi State 41-0.
Real quick, Big 12 eliminated from the playoff ?
Yeah, as of right now, yes. Because you got right now I would have Alabama, I'd have Ohio State, I'd have Clemson and Notre Dame currently. Right now.
Oh man, I really want to say Cincinnati.
Currently.
I really want to say Cincinnati.
After next weekend, you could put in Cincinnati because one of those two teams are going to lose.
Maybe BYU. I really want to say Cincinnati. Kyle, You know who else is undefeated? Not getting a lot of attention. You know who's undefeated right now? Oregon.
They haven't won either. Alabama beats Mississippi State shuts out Mississippi State 4-1 to nothing.
Bama, good. SEC, bad.
Yes.
That's my take on that.
Florida beats Missouri, another terrible team, 41 to 17.
Yeah, big old brawl at halftime. I imagine some suspensions are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even some discipline for the coach, because he definitely had a hand in that. Dan Mullen is a psychopath.
What an idiot.
It'd be interesting to follow Florida news this week.
Yeah. Texas A&M beats Arkansas 42 to 31.
Are we all pretending Texas A&M is good again? Is that what we're doing right now?
No, and Arkansas is a terrible team too.
Yeah. Texas A&M is not good. They're fine. No. They're a top 20 team. They're fine, but let's stop pretending that there's something more than that, please.
Virginia beats North Carolina 44 to 41. And North Carolina made this close. It was a blowout.
North Carolina made a nice little comeback. Wasn't enough. Virginia starting to look pretty good under Mendenhall. That's who the coach is there now, right? Starting to look pretty good.
Yep.
It's the ACC. What do you want? That's my summation of it. It's the ACC.
Yep. Oklahoma blows out Texas Tech 62 to 28.
I've decided I don't care about Oklahoma for the rest of 2020.
Okay. Last one here. BYU, as you were talking about, beats Western Kentucky 41 to 10. A
lot of great scores against a lot of bad teams is what we're seeing out of BYU right now. I'm giving Cincinnati the nod into the playoff. Kyle, playoff. Putting Cincinnati at number 4. Ohio State 1. Bama 2. Clemson 3. Which I'm surprised by, because I had Clemson and Ohio State as a notch above Bama all year. I'm putting Bama at 2, dropping Clemson to 3. I'm putting Cincinnati at 4. Let's do it. Let's get Ohio Bowl.
I got Notre Dame at 4 just based on who they've played. I know they haven't looked good at some games, but based on who they've played so far, I've got Notre Dame at 4 and close 5th right there is Cincinnati for me.
Here's why I don't believe in Notre Dame. Ian Book.
All right.
That's it.
All right. We'll find out next weekend.
That's the tweet. All right. That's the tweet and that's the episode. Want to thank everyone for joining us on today's show. Want to thank the Mad Canadian and the Iron Bean Coffee Company and all of our patrons for keeping this show rolling. Want to give a plug to the Patreon. You can find that patreon.thesloopcast.com. You can get a lot of cool benefits there, including premium access to our Discord. You can check out all of our links at thesloopcast.com. That's the new master link. I just bought a DNS name and pointed it at our campsite. That's all it is. It's a campsite site. It's all it is a site with links on it. That's all that is. You can buy merch. Kyle and I are both wearing Sloopcast merch right now. This is my Harbaugh is Hitler propaganda t-shirt. And Kyle's wearing his trusty crew parody Buckeye Sloopcast hoodie. And again, check out the Patreon. We're really trying to get things going over at the Patreon. We want to do more video stuff. We maybe want to start doing more episodes, but we really, really need more support if we want to start doing maybe a 3rd episode but we are also talking about doing a bonus episode made up of just Ask Sloopcast questions that would be a Patreon exclusive. So that's a thing that might be coming in the near future. Basically because these episodes keep getting bigger and we need them to keep getting bigger. And so we're thinking about spilling over into a 3rd episode, but we really need the money to justify the time that's going to take. So any help you can provide there would be fantastic. Again, patreon.thesloopcast.com. And Kyle, I think that's all of the plugging I feel like doing right now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, what's in Kyle's Corner?
Kyle's Corner. Well, let's go over to Kyle's Corner here. Ooh, technology. Kyle's Corner here.
YouTube viewers, I hope you appreciated that. We were very excited for that. Should we have been? I don't know. Audio only listeners, Kyle switched to a separate camera.
Yes. Big news this week, Jared. Big news, and I'm mentioning it right now because this won't get out until Friday, but Wednesday, Jared.
No, this is a Monday episode, Kyle.
Yes, I know, but I can't mention it next episode.
Okay.
Mac is back. Mac is back Wednesday. We have all Mac teams in action Wednesday. So get your multi-TVs set here and enjoy some action Wednesday night.
I'm going to say thank God for my 10-year-old, 20-something inch Cyber Monday Hanspree, which has been my second TV forever.
So you got Eastern Michigan versus Kent State, Western Michigan versus Akron, Buffalo versus Northern Illinois, Ohio versus Central Michigan, Ball State against Miami, and the Battle of I-75 of Bowling Green and Toledo.
Amazing. That's all.
Yes.
I'm just going to say amazing. We got Maction. It's on Wednesday nights. I love it. I'm down for it. Kyle, we're going to have to maybe record a bit earlier on Wednesday so that we can soak in that Maction joy.
Yes.
Something to consider.
All right. That's all I got today.
All right. Tonight's ending. He's going back to the Ohio State hat. Wait, that was a brief trip into the Bowling Green hat. I need an Ohio Bobcat hat. We didn't go to Bowling Green there's OU, but there's stuff there. I'm gonna get a Bobcat hat. I need a Bobcat hat. All right. Let's see. Tonight's ending music will be brought to you by Playing to Vapors. We're doing a play. They're one of my absolute favorite, especially of the independent artists of Ohio. They're mathy, but they're not super mathy. They're very accessible math rock. I want to say it's like a more accessible, more fun version of Radiohead. So if like Radiohead, it just feels a little too snooty for you, I would like to introduce you to Playing to Vapors. Like I said, a little bit more fun version. So we're going to do Playing to Vapors tonight. I probably play them as our ending music more than anyone else. And that's just because I love them so much. So be sure to stick around for that. There are links down in the doobly-doo for both to their Bandcamp page and a link to the song. And of course, there's also the master link, which is now just thesloopcast.com. And you can check out all that down in the show notes. So with all of that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer and coffee, listen to local music, and of course, support our local podcasters. Once again, this is Playing to Vapors. I feel like I totally botched the end there. Totally botched it. 100% botch. YouTube. What do you think? Did I botch the end there? I feel like I botched the end there.
We'll get better next time.
Guys, make sure to subscribe. At the end of the ad read and stuff, you'll see a thing pop over on Kyle's face that will subscribe you either to the Buckeye Scoop or to our YouTube channel, depending upon where you're watching this. We don't care. Actually, subscribe both. Let's say we don't care where you subscribe. Subscribe both. We don't care where you watch. We don't expect you to watch twice. We don't care where you watch. Either is fine with us. It really means nothing to us one way or the other. And then at the end of the episode on my face, you'll see a playlist for all of our season 6 episodes. So that's my face, Kyle's face. Subscribe. Down here, you see Mad Canadian. Right here, you'll see information for our Discord server, which, as I pointed out, is now partially public. Iron Bean Coffee, and of course our master link right there on the site as well. Those aren't clickable because YouTube's stupid and they don't like me using outside links. But that's just some information for you guys. And of course, the Buckeye Scoop, our boys over at the Buckeye Scoop, the website we are affiliated with. Make sure to watch the morning scoop with Tom Orr at the very least. It's a nice bite-sized episode available to you every morning. It's a part of my daily routine. It should be part of your daily routine too. Again, that's the Buckeye Scoop with Tom Orr.
Yes.
All right, let's rejoin our audio listeners. Actually, Kyle, I'll go first this time. I'll go first. Let me scroll up to the show notes, and then after I scroll up to the show notes, then we'll rejoin our audio listeners. I'd like to once again thank Playing to Vapors for ending today's show, and I'd like to thank the Iron Bean Coffee Company for supporting today's show financially. Once again, they are a veteran-owned, roast-to-order, micro-batch coffee brewer based out of Toledo, Ohio, technically Perrysburg. But Perrysburg is close enough to Toledo that I feel comfortable just saying Toledo. All of their coffee's fresh. If you're getting it ground, it's freshly ground. Obviously, even if you don't get it ground, it's freshly roasted. They do not roast the beans. They do not roast the beans until you order the beans. These have not been sitting on a grocery store shelf for weeks or months. These beans have not been in a warehouse or in some giant tub waiting for you to buy them already roasted. No, these are not roasted until you order them. They are fresh. If you're like me and you want to buy them whole bean, you can buy them whole bean just to get that even extra level of freshness. But even if you're getting them ground, even if you're buying your coffee ground, know that it's still freshly ground. You get free shipping on any order over $50. They have a lot of coffee to choose from. If you're looking for which coffee might be your coffee, they do offer a 6 coffee sampler pack. I actually bought one, but I don't have any of those bags in here. All those bags are in my kitchen. I should have brought at least one to show you one of the sampler bags. And yeah, it's like I said, it's a veteran owned. You're supporting veterans. It's Ohio owned. You're supporting a local Ohio business, and it's all fair trade certified. So you don't have to have any sort of moral quandaries about where your coffee beans come from, which is an issue. You can do your independent research on that. Like coffee bean stuff, it can get real ugly. Mm-hmm. In South America, know that these are fair trade, and they are sourced directly from a bunch of them. Not all of them are sourced directly from farms, single source coffees, and they're also USDA certified organic. So it's a great coffee company with incredible morals, with incredible integrity. Again, supporting veterans, supporting Ohio-based local companies, and also supporting farmers in Colombia and Honduras and all the other places that they get their coffee from, making sure that those farmers are being treated correctly. So you can find all of that at ironbeancoffee.com. Once again, that is Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster.
This episode of the Super is also brought to you by the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Don't let the word Canadian fool you. This one is also an Ohio-based company too. Mad Canadian. What else haven't we said? Many seasonings that the Mad
We've
Canadian
said it all at this point.
The MadCanadianBBQ.com. Check out all the great seasonings over there. We'll point out the old fashioned here. It's one of his most interesting spice to date. He worked on a mimic to the classic drink, and they believe they've nailed it. It's sweet, bourbony, and has the right kick of bitter. If you want something more traditional, go with the Kerry steak. One of my favorites, goes on just about everything. It's a classic seasoning with their own twist and a name that fits better. Or you can go with the Brits blend. It's a very versatile seasoning, mainly that you would find for like in chili. It's one of those great right amount of heat and savory, and goes great with those for fall meals. Perfect time right now, such as chili I mentioned too, or potato salad, or potato salad.
Tacos, yes. Nachos, anything Southwest. That's your cheat code for anything Southwest right there.
Yep. Check out all the other great seasonings over at the madcanadianbbq.com. Make sure you use the promo code SloopCast10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where they have your butt covered.
And once again, to our YouTube listeners, my face right now should have a season 6 playlist on it. Kyle's face has the subscribe button on it. We don't care. Buckeye Scoop we don't care where you watch. We don't care where you subscribe. Actually, we care where you subscribe. Subscribe both, but we don't care where you watch. I'm not trying to get a ton of views on our YouTube page necessarily. So watch on the Buckeye Scoop YouTube page, watch on this YouTube page. I don't care. But subscribe to both. That would be rad. And maybe like both. That would also be rad. But listen wherever you want. I don't care.